We're going to do Genesis chapter 38. And just looking at it, previewing it, we just got out of the story about Joseph in the pit. And we're hopping into this whole other story for one chapter. And it's about Leah and Yaakov's son, Judah. And I'm not quite sure why it's thrown in the middle of this, except to maybe kind of let it be known that he's not following Jacob and Isaac and Abraham's laws that they're given to. And we can tell this right off the bat. So we'll do chapter 38. And it came to pass at that time that Judah went down from his brethren and turned into a certain Adulamite, whose name was Harah. And Judah saw there was a daughter of a certain Canaanite, whose name was Shelah, and he took her and went in unto her. Okay, boom, right there. I don't know, maybe that's not illegal yet. He's not taking her as his wife. And she conceived and bare a son, and he called his name Okay, I guess they did get married. So there we are, right off the bat. He's not supposed to be doing that. And she conceived again and bare a son, and she called his name Onan. And she yet again conceived and bare a son, and called his name Shelah. And he was at Chezib when she bare him. And Judah took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. And I just had to look up this story because I cannot understand it. Just reading it. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. So, I don't even know if we need any excuse there why he's wicked, because the Lord told Judah knows not to take a Canaanite wife, so that was his firstborn. And he died after he took Tamar as a wife. Okay, so this is kind of what's going on. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. So she's left now without a husband. And Judah said unto Onan, Go in unto thy brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother. So this is common practice. Died, and Tamar should go straight to the brother. And Onan knew that the seed should not be his. And so he's like, oh wow. And he is not following the rules they had at the time. He's like, oh no. I'm not, because what I read is it says that, well, these children will be considered the dead brother's children at this point, and any children they have, her, Tamar, and the second son, they'll be considered the first brother's children. And like his seed is not passed. I don't know how this works, but this is what his reasoning is. He's saying he knew the seed should not be his, and it came to pass when he went in unto his brother's wife that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give seed to his brother. So something was going on where he had to take care of her, and it was all going to be in the older brother's name. No longer his name, I'm not sure, but he doesn't want to do the regular things people do. And she's Canaanite anyway. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him also. So then said Judah to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, remain a widow at my father's house, till Shelah, my son, be grown. For he said, lest peradventure he die also, as his brethren did. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house. So Judah's saying, you know what? Just wait till the third son is of age and you can marry him. And in the process of time, the daughter of Shelah, Judah's wife, died. And Judah was comforted and went up unto his sheep shearers to Timnath, he and his friend Pharoahs the Adullamite. And it was told to Tamar, saying, behold, thy father-in-law goes up to Timnath to shear his sheep. And she put her widow's garment off from her, and covered her with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in an open place, which is by the way to Timnath, for she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife. So she has been told that the third son would be the husband, but Judah is not doing his job, and she's just going to be like, die poor widow miserable. So look what she does. She sat there and dressed up like a prostitute, and verse 15, when Judah saw her, he thought her to be an harlot, because she had covered her face. And he turned unto her by the way, and said, go to, I pray thee, let me come in unto thee. For he knew not that she was his daughter-in-law. And she said, what wilt thou give me, that thou mayest come in unto me? So it says, when I look it up, prostitution was not illegal. It's not well looked upon, but he promised her to take care of her, for her to have a husband, which is his duty at the time, but he's not fulfilling it, and he's just like picking up a whore. So, well, he thinks that's what he's doing, but that's not what he's doing. And he said, I will send thee a kid from the flock. And she said, wilt thou give me a pledge till thou send it? And he said, what pledge shall I give thee? And she said, thy signet, and thy bracelets, and thy staff that is in thine hand. And he gave it to her, and came in unto her, and she conceived by him. Uh-oh. And she arose, and went away, and laid by her veil from her, and put on the garments of her widowhood. Uh-oh. And Judah sent the kid by the hand of his friend the Adullamite to receive his pledge from the woman's hand, but he found her not. Then he asked the man of that place, saying, where is the harlot that was openly by the wayside? And they said, there was no harlot in this place. And he returned to Judah and said, I cannot find her. I guess Judah's place is Judah. So that's the first time they mention that that's his land. So Judah returned to Judah, right? And he returned to Judah and said, I cannot find her. And also the men of the place said that there was no harlot in this place. And Judah said, let her take it to her, lest we be shamed. Behold, I sent this kid, and thou hast not found her. And it came to pass, about 3 months after that, it was told Judah, saying, Tamar thy daughter-in-law hath played the harlot, and also, behold, she is with child by a whoredom. And Judah said, bring her forth, and let her be burnt. Oh. Hypocrite. When she was brought forth, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, by the man whose these are, am I with child? And she said, discern, I pray thee, whose are these, the signet and the bracelets and the staff? And Judah acknowledged them, and said, she hath been more righteous than I, because that I gave her not to Shelah my son, and he knew her again no more. So he never had intercourse with her again. After that, he repented. Well, I don't know if he's repenting to God, but he is at least understanding that he's more to blame than her. So, and it came to pass in the time of her travail that, behold, twins were in her womb. And it came to pass when she travailed that the one put out his hand, and the midwife took and bound upon his hand a scarlet thread, saying, this came out first. So they could tell them apart later, probably. And it came to pass, as he drew back his hand, that, behold, his brother came out. And she said, how hast thou broken forth? This breach be upon thee. Therefore his name was called Pharez. And afterward came out his brother, that had the scarlet thread upon his hand, and his name was called Zareh. So, I didn't read about this end part, but it sounds like she put one of the child's hands came out, and she put a red thread around it to identify it for later, possibly to know it was the firstborn. But he drew back his hand, and the other one came out first, and that's Pharez. So sounds like Pharez will be kind of bossy type. And afterward came out his brother that had the scarlet thread upon his hand, and his name was called Zareh. So we'll probably hear about them later, but I mean, let's do 39, but it's just about Joseph. So, but something like this is confusing to me, and I have recently even gone over it with Cutting Edge and John Hall, just like within the past year and a half, and he explained it, but like I totally forgot it. And I don't know it's strange, the placement of this, because they start talking about Joseph, right? We've just found him, and he's sold to Potiphar, and then they tell you this story, right, about Judah. So in the middle of this, so there's probably going to be a good reason. It probably is going to have something to do with this Pharez or Zareh. I don't know. But we have to keep that one in mind, because it seems really out of place, right? So, well, it's not out of place, because it's there for a reason. I don't know. I can only try to figure out even what they're saying. And when I read it, I needed help, so I had to go to the computer to look. Because, like, just that story, I need help with. Okay, but here's one we probably don't need any help with. Chapter 39. And Joseph was brought down to Egypt. See, it skips right back to Joseph. So, interesting, right? That story, and then this. And Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, brought him on the hands of the Ishmaelites, which had brought him down thither. Right? He's sold by his nice brothers in just, supposed slavery. But watch what happens. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man, and he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all that he did to prosper in his hand. So here we are. The Pharaoh, it's clear to the Pharaoh what's going on with Joseph, just like we can remember that happened to Yaakov, why Laban just kept him hanging around for all that time. Same thing, I think. I'm not sure, but it sounds, I'm putting that together. And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer over his house and all that he had put into his hand. So, thanks, brothers. No, I'm not really a slave. I have the second most powerful position in Egypt, like right away. How's that? Okay. And it came to pass from the time that he had made him the overseer in his house and over all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of the Lord was upon all that he had in the house and in the field. So everybody's doing great. And he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he knew not aught he had, save the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a goodly person and well favored. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said, Lie with me. But he refused, and said unto his master's wife, Behold, my master wotteth not what is with me in the house, and he hath commanded all that he hath to my hand. There is none greater in this house than I, neither hath he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? And it came to pass, as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her to lie by her or to be with her. So it's not a one-time thing. She's total sexually harassing it at work. Okay. And it came to pass, as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her to lie by her or to be with her. And it came to pass about this time that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house there within. And she caught him by his garment, saying, Lie with me. She is a hooch. She is a hussy. She gets everything she wants. Joseph is totally cute and good looking and strong and everything perfect. So the Lord has blessed him. And she is like, whoa. She's like, it's a really bad situation. And he tried to, he's already told her, no, you're his wife, back off. But she's relentless. And she caught him by his garment. So she's grabbing him. She's assaulting him, saying, Lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand and fled and got him out. So she's like ripping his clothes off, literally. Great. What a hussy. And it came to pass, when she saw that she had left his garment in her hand and was fled forth, that she called unto the men of her house, and spake unto them, saying, See, he hath brought in an Hebrew unto us to mock us. He came in unto me to lie with me, and I cried with a loud voice. And it came to pass, when he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled and got him out. She's just a total liar. And she laid up his garment by her until his Lord came home. She's probably like, oh, I have Joseph's, robe, And she spake unto him according to these words, saying, The Hebrew servant which thou hast brought unto us came in unto me to mock me. And it came to pass, as I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled out. And it came to pass, she's totally lying. And it came to pass, when his master heard the words of his wife, which she spake unto him, saying, After this manner did thy servant to me, that his wrath was kindled. And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison. Innocent Joseph, innocent, good-looking Joseph, getting mind controlled by the Pharaoh's wife. He must have been really, really perfect and good-looking, because she already, there's like billions of people there. Okay, so a place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in the prison. But the Lord was with Joseph, and shewed him mercy, and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. Woo! Thank goodness. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison. And whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it. The keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because the Lord was with him, and that which he did, the Lord made it to prosper. So he kind of just controlled the prison, thank goodness. He wasn't having any type of hard time. Well, he didn't do anything wrong. He's been kidnapped. Well, not really. He was thrown in a pit. They wanted to kill him. And then they're like, oh no, we better not, because the only reason they didn't kill him is because they said, we don't want our brother's blood on our hands. Like, they just didn't want to feel guilt. Like, that's the only reason. And then, so they're like, let's just leave him in this pit, right, with no water, nothing. And they go back, he's not there. He was sold to the Ishmaelites. He winds up in Egypt, and the Lord is totally with him. And the most powerful, well, I guess he's the third most powerful, because the Pharaoh would be first, maybe his wife would be second, and then he's third. And that's the problem. Even though he's the most powerful man, it's like the devil is there, like it's like satanic. She like does the only thing that, like, there's no other thing that could get him in trouble except this. It's demonic and devilish. It's probably how Satan works. Right? Think about it. She's Egyptian. I don't know though. Is she like a Greek pharaoh's, one of the Greek pharaoh people? Or is she like a pharaoh, or is she like an Egyptian type? But whatever, she's really sneaky snake. They had all of that. Well, we'll find out. But they had all those mystical powers. Like, okay, so, right, we will find out next chapter in Exodus, when Moses threw down his staff and it became a snake. Well, they just kind of laughed because they have those same powers too, but it's not given by God. So they have mimicking similar powers that are not given by the Lord. So we will run into that and we will see that that's fine, but those are weak, fake powers. So we'll see what the Lord will do here with these weak, fake powers of the wife's lies to her husband about nice Joseph. And we'll see what will happen. You know, all he did really is tell his brothers about those dreams. They were kind of highfalutin, like, you know. But it was just a dream. And it was, well, it's a truthful dream. And he's just really innocent and trustworthy and stuff. So he just told them, but they are older and they are way sneakier. And instead of, like, you know, helping him, going, you know what, you know, you may not, he was already his father's favorite. You know, it's the Lord, just all the blessing kind of came out on him, because look, we can already see, look what just happened. This Judah, well, at least he kind of rebukes his sins, but he's visiting prostitutes, telling his son's wife, don't worry, we'll take care of you. And that last one grew up, and she was not given to him, to the wife. So they're kind of not, there's already issues going on. So maybe that's why, you know, God, you know, he was watching them all be born, right? Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph and Benjamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. I know those are all the tribes, but you know, he's probably watching them, seeing how everybody's behaving, you know, trying to figure out what to do. He's like, I got this chance with Joseph, so I don't know. We don't know what happens. If the blessing was already there, if he lays it on, but like this behavior, you know, of Judah, we see right there. Maybe that's why it's put in there. It's to show possibly that okay, so like most of his brothers are just watching this whole thing go down, right? And he's the youngest, and they were all into it. So it's just kind of amazing the way it just happened like that. It's just weird, right? I don't know, I'm tired. Like, they just put this story in. They're not having a good time. It's like we all kind of have to put our eggs in this basket of Yaakov because, well, look, you know, Judah just married a Canaanite. He's of the same, he is his brother. He's of the same generation, and they're just, you know, 2 generations removed from Abraham, and nobody is doing what they were told to do. He goes, marries a Canaanite. Look, they're naming them Canaanite names, probably Onan, Shelah. So, You know, I don't think Tamar was a Canaanite. Maybe that's what's going on too. Well, we'll find out, because that's why she's blessed by the Lord, and she had the wherewithal to pull that routine she did. But we'll see. But maybe it's placed in there because, like, okay, things are kind of going downhill. They're kind of like, throwing their brother in a pit. And yeah, this other brother here, look what he's doing. He's, this, I'm not sure it comes later, but maybe the worst thing out of this thing could be, well, because this Judah is not following laws here, and maybe Tamar is not Canaanite, and something will happen. Maybe these children will be good. I'm thinking this Pharez and Zareh. Okay, maybe they will be fine because Judah and Tamar are fine together. Tamar is not a Canaanite, and maybe, even though this story is kind of strange that this one broke through first, it sounds like maybe that's what's going on. And we'll hear about Pharez, this one that broke through even though his brother's arm was coming out. He like pushed his way through. And maybe we will hear some war story about them later in the Canaanites or something. But I'm thinking possibly Tamar is not Canaanite, and so these children should be blessed. That would be the best thing, right? Well, we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, it's getting good. Okay, like I thought this was just going to be all about Joseph, and we wouldn't have a problem. But then I'm like, uh-oh, why is this in here? What is this about? This chapter 38. What does it have to do with Joseph? So all I know is they're putting it in there because this is already going on with him, but they want you just to know there's other stuff going on, and it has to be put in there, I guess. You know what I mean? It has to be put in there, exactly there, because we'll find out later. That's all I can figure out. Well, have a good night, everybody.